Hi, this is Frank Todaro, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
There is nothing wrong with your podcast player. Do not attempt to adjust the volume. Hello and welcome back into our studio. You are now inside Studio 2009. I'm, of course, TFG1Mike. Joining me, as always, Steve Megatron. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Really? You really want to mess with the Puddin' Pops tonight? Really? Come on.
Come on, CEO, get my Puddin' Pops.
Oh, Lord.
It's a terrible impression.
Yes, it is.
And you're like, yeah, do Bill Cosby. That's illegal. Oh, I just did Carl Weezer.
Jello pudding pops, Jello pudding pops, frozen pudding on a stick. You know, Jello pudding pops is a winner with all the soapbox racers I know.
It is?
Mm-hmm. And even your mechanic's getting all revved up about it because it's so rich and creamy.
Yeah!
And it always gets the green light from Mom because it's made with real pudding.
Jello brand pudding pops. All the goodness of real Jello pudding. So you know it's wholesome.
A true winner.
And it gets a green light from Mom.
Yeah, we said free Britney Spears, not Bill Cosby.
Yeah, that one I don't understand. But
anyway,
we're going to talk about fun things tonight.
yes, we are. Tonight, whenever you find people are listening to this, I don't even know if people listen to this show. I need to start promoting it more. We will be bringing you another list episode. This time around, we're going to talk about, in no particular order, even though I have my own list numbered, our favorite fictional characters. Take it away, Holden McNeil.
Okay, they're talking about fictional characters. Fictional characters. Am I getting through to you at all?
As he said, these are fictional characters. You can go first, sir. Who is the first one that you would like to talk about?
Well, I think
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious shit.
With Doc Brown, for obvious reasons, mad scientist, but not, like, in a bad way. But he does turn a DeLorean into a time machine, which obviously is, like, a beautiful piece of machinery because it's got that nice angular metal look of the 80s.
I mean, the way he saw it is, if you're going to make a time machine on anything, why don't you do it with some style? I love Doc Brown.
Yeah, Doc Brown's awesome. For me, that entire movie series, that trilogy, the whole thing that makes it for me is Christopher Lloyd. I love anything the dude's in. Just that raspy voice that he gets when he gets excited.
Yep. Absolutely. Doc Brown is one of the coolest characters out there. I know that you weren't on this, but I think I have the PDFs for you that you can read if you are so inclined to do so. IDW did Back to the Future comics, and Optimus Solo and I had covered them, and literally as I'm reading these books, I am hearing Christopher Lloyd in my head. And I'm like, oh my God! And say what you will, and we actually did the episode on this over on Tooncast, Tooncast Beyond. It was actually the last episode of Tooncast Beyond before it just became Tooncast again. Back to the Future, the animated series. Say what you will about Dan Castellaneta. I mean,
he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, he did
knocking the voice out. I mean, that's Christopher Lloyd. Like, I feel like there's this like, oh, this is a fun episode. We should do this. It just came to me. The Mount Rushmore of basically of awesome iconic voice actors that their voice is their claim to fame.
Yep. Absolutely. We should definitely do that in the future. But I mean, Christopher Lloyd, Doc Brown, he's a character that is lovable. He's a character that is very absent-minded. He's a character that is also very complex as well. And he's just one of those quintessential characters, and the way that they wrote him, the way that, you know, he is kind of a mentor to Marty. I don't want to say father figure, because Marty did have his dad, even though his dad was a little nuts, but Doc Brown was always so very, very cool. It's so fun. Absolutely love him. I might actually watch those movies after we finish this. Maybe. I don't know yet. For me, people are going to cry havoc and let out the Gophers of War with this one.
And your little dog, too. I got you now, you little furry freak. You're not gonna get away from me. Scrambling around. I know you're in there. He's close. You're close, aren't you? Just a few feet away. Mocking me. Ain't a gopher alive, it's a...
The Gopher from Caddyshack 2. The reason why I'm saying the sequel is because I don't think, I'd have to look it up, but I don't think Frank Welker voiced the Gopher in the first film. I know he voiced the Gopher in the second film, and the adventures that the Gopher has with Dan Aykroyd are just hilarious. And me being from Massachusetts and all of that, and before I think AMW bought them out, we had a company up there called Hires Root Beer, and the can of root beer that Muffy or Miffy or whatever her name is has Jonathan Silverman's character go to get is a can of Diet Hires Root Beer, and there's a, I have it screen cap somewhere. There's a picture of the Gopher who has the can. I'm like, oh my god, that is so hilarious. I just love how he always gets out of the situations that he ends up getting himself into. Very, very fun.
Totally. My next up, in no particular order, is Q. From Star Trek, the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Picard, however you want to add that in there. I just love John Delancey's like portrayal of the character, like just the kind of the trickster, the nonchalant, like I don't care, like, you know, oh come on, let's have fun, Capitan, you know.
Yep.
Just I love the portrayal. I love the character.
Is that all this meant to you?
Tell me, Commander, where is that doctor of yours? He was supposed to meet me here a half an hour ago.
Tell me about Q. I'll tell you anything you want to know, Commander. Just answer one question. Is Starfleet penalizing you, or did you actually request such a dismal command?
It's one of those characters that when I want a good, like, enjoyable episode of Star Trek, I always go back to crossover ones where it's one of the series with an original series character, or like a flashback episode like that, or an episode with Q. Like pretty much anytime there's an episode with Q, I'm golden. I'm like, okay, this is great. I can sit here and watch this. I don't have to necessarily pay attention, but it's one of those ones that I can just sit back and enjoy.
Yeah, you know it so well that, you know, it's one of those things where, hey, I know that voice, or hey, I know this, or hey, I know that, and this is when he says this, and this is when he does this, and all of that. So that's very, very cool. Up next for me is...
If I only had 3 days to do this, I have to go deep undercover. I'm undercover deep now. This is deep. I'm going deeper. I don't want no more money or nothing, but I'm going deep, 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 deep undercover. So you sign that for me, and I'm going so deep, sir, you not even know where people going to try to page me. Axel, and no answer, because I'm going to be deep undercover.
I'm tired of your bullshit, Foley. You got 3 days. If I don't see some results by then, I'm going to grind your ass in the dog meat. You got that?
Deal. I'll have a dog meat ass. Now, could you please sign my authorization for my flash money, please?
Flash money. Just make sure nothing happens to that Ferrari. That's a $50,000 automobile, you know.
Oh, no. It's $67,000 and fast. It goes from 100 to 150 and like...
You're going to put a banana where? That's right, folks. It is Axel Foley. More so for Beverly Hills Cop 2 than Cop 1. But I do like Cop 1, but he is so much more hilarious in Cop 2. I just, some of the jokes, like Beverly Hills Cop 2 was in theaters when I was 7 years old in 87. So by the time I saw it on VHS, it might have been 89, 90, something like that. Because, folks, back in the 80s, it took a while for things to leave theaters. And now theaters probably aren't even going to be around anymore. Or something. And I watched a lot of stuff as a kid that I shouldn't have. And his line in the 385 North Club when he says, "I'd like to get a Coke," the bartender's like, $7. $7 for a Coke. I can get blown for $7. And I'm like, okay then. As a kid, I was like, huh? As an adult, I'm like, alrighty then. Yeah, this is most definitely an adult film. But I love him and Judge Reinhold in this. And Axel is just that streetwise cop that you see in almost anything nowadays, but except in Axel's case, the character was done a hell of a lot better.
He's a fun character for sure.
Yes, he is. What's next for you, sir?
Well, what's next for me is, and this is where I start devolving into two of my favorite franchises, being Star Trek and Transformers and superheroes.
Yep.
3. So next up, I would put Batman the Animated Series Batman, which encompasses Batman Beyond. So it's kind of a cop-out.
Yeah, it's DCAU Batman. It's Kevin Conroy Batman.
With Kevin Conroy.
This is Kevin Conroy, and I am the goddamn Batman.
Very good then, Mr. McGinnis. Welcome to my world.
I obviously... the voice, like whenever I read Batman, that's what I hear, like hands down. It doesn't matter. I always hear Kevin Conroy. Even when somebody else is voicing him, I pretend that Kevin Conroy is speaking. Just makes it that much more enjoyable. But then, I love the portrayal, I love the character. I love the way that they humanize him a little bit more with it. And yes, he can still do some things that, unlike the Christopher Nolan stuff where they show Batman actually get hurt, they show him get hurt quite a bit in the animated series, which is refreshing because a lot of shows they show it, but he's got a extremely quick recovery.
Right. Yeah.
DCAU, he loses his memory in an episode. Yeah, he gets saved by his mentor. Yeah, he gets thrown into a Lazarus pit. I mean, he's all different ranges of, his not only personality but frailty of his body.
Right. Yeah.
I love the whole evolution you get through the DCAU.
Yeah. As he said to Terry McGinnis in Return of the Joker, block it out and power on through. And the only way Batman can block shit out and power on through is by having a lot of pain pills. Oh, man. Up next for me, as I said, I think I might have said this already in the episode, but I might have said it off air instead. The next one for me is kind of a cheat. because I'm picking 2. But it was either pick 2 or pick all 4. But Donnie and Mikey from Turtles.
Rock, dudes! Do you realize what this is? The crucial piece of evidence we were looking for?
Specifically the 87 cartoon and the 90s movies.
So what do we do now? What do you mean, what do we do now? Splinter's out there somewhere! I know Splinter's out there. Fight? Fight. Kitchen? Kitchen. Yeah.
Absolutely love him. Donatello is, well, he does machines, and Mikey is just the party dude, and what IDW has done with these characters in the TMNT comics has just been so well done and so very, very cool. I love that whole thing, but the original animated series and the original first 3 films, with Robbie Rist being the voice of Mikey and Corey Feldman being the voice of Donatello, it just was so good. And I think my two favorite scenes, one is with both of them. It's when they're in the sewer waiting for the pizza guy, time's up, $3 off. And then for Mikey specifically, or not Mikey, for Donnie specifically, it's when he and Casey are trying to fix the truck and they go through the whole alphabet of calling each other names. I thought that was just hilarious. With Barry Gordon and Townsend Coleman voicing them each respectively, Donnie for Barry and Mikey for Townsend in the animated series. Oh man, what adventures. I need to get my hands on that Turtle Van DVD box set at some point, because I need to watch that show again.
I missed the old show.
Yeah.
Not that the new ones haven't been decent. I liked the 2012 and I liked the 2003, but there's something to be said for, the OG.
Yeah, I love the 2003 show, and the 2012 show I liked, and I thought it was good, but I never actually watched all of it all the way through.
It had its moments.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad at all. What I'm saying is I need to go back, and it's on Hulu, so I guess I can go back and watch through it at some point. Next up for you, sir.
Okay, next up for me would be Iron Man. I had to go superheroes with a little bit of it. I really enjoyed Iron Man just from Robert Downey Jr. Mostly. I liked him in the old Spider-Man the animated series stuff.
Yeah,
but
the 1994 Iron Man cartoon as well.
Yeah, that one too. But I mostly resonated with the character with Robert Downey Jr.
Is it better to be feared or respected? And I say, is it too much to ask for both? With that in mind, I humbly present the crown jewel of Stark Industries' Freedom Line. It's the first missile system to incorporate our proprietary repulsor technology. They say the best weapon is one you never have to fire. I respectfully disagree. I prefer the weapon you only have to fire once. That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it. And it's worked out pretty well so far.
Well, that's because since the 90s, there was a few, they tried doing Iron Man Armored Adventures, but he was a younger Tony kind of a thing and whatever. But yeah, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Man, there's so many quotes throughout the entire cinematic universe.
Well, I like how they mirrored his birth as Iron Man and his death as Iron Man.
Yep.
Which was perfect, goes in as he, goes out as he went in, yep. Cocky and ready to, stir the pot.
Absolutely.
And shoving it in everyone's face. Hey, Tony, we've got these things prepared for you. We want you to say it. I am Iron Man. Don't care.
Yeah, screw it.
And then he does it again when, Thanos, what are you? Who are you? I'm Iron Man.
Snap.
Yep. And yeah, and then the recording Beyond the Grave. Yeah, if you're seeing this, I bit the big one.
Yeah, that was very, very sad. I know a lot of people out there don't like Iron Man 3. I
don't mind it. I don't like Iron Man 2 as much.
Yeah,
I felt like that was the more hollow of the three, whereas Iron Man 3, yes, I give it crap for being, essentially a Christmas time movie. But the dude's gone through, he's had, between the New York thing and, I think that was with Ultron too, right there at that point, wasn't it?
Iron Man 3 was the beginning of Phase 3, I think.
Was that before Ultron?
No, it was after Ultron.
That's what I thought. Sure. So he had that too. So, I mean, just the whole gamut of things that he was dealing with, PTSD from it all, and had to deal with it and kind of rise above it and start fresh.
Yeah. Yeah, I love RDJ as Iron Man. I love Robert Hayes, the guy who voiced Iron Man in the 1994 cartoon series. I thought that was amazing. But really, I mean, the man, like, I can't see or hear anybody else other than Robert Downey Jr. doing Iron Man, which, as of this recording, it kind of stinks and they haven't revealed who it is yet, but in the new Disney Plus Marvel What If that's going to be happening, it's a animated series, it's not his voice, it's somebody else. And I'm like, what?
That would have been such an easy way for him to reinsert himself without having to put the suit on.
Well, and plus it's animated, it's voice acted, but here's the thing with this. The new Disney Marvel What If animated series, it has every other actor. It's the last thing Chadwick Boseman did before he died. It has every other actor from the MCU except Robert Downey Jr. as the voice of Iron Man, and it just kind of stinks, but it is what it is, I guess. So Tony Stark, absolutely love that guy. Iron Man from Marvel Cinematic Universe, so good. All right, for me, next up is...
This is Jason David Frank, and you're listening to the GeekCast Radio Network.
No one ever thought he'd grow up to become a doctor, but Dr. Tommy Oliver.
Our teacher is the oldest living Power Ranger.
Not the oldest.
Huh?
Just the best.
There's two things you guys need to learn about Dino Gems. One, you can't choose them. They choose you.
What's the other?
They go real well with Dino Morphers.
Aren't you a little old for this, Tommy?
I may be old, but I can still pull it off. Dino Thunder! Power up! Dino Thunder! Black Ranger!
If you could see 13-year-old me in the 90s, 13, 14, 15, up until that first movie was released, I had nothing but green shirts on, and then when he went to the White Ranger, I had nothing but white shirts and black jeans, and I love Jason David Frank as Tommy Oliver on the show, in the comics, even the Lord Draken side of him. I just love everything that they have done with that character.
I could see that. Yeah, I like the character as well.
Yep. Again, from the Boom Studios comics, if you're reading those, folks, I haven't read the new ones, but the original Boom Studios MMPR series that they did that I'm still trying to wrap up over on the pullback. Just what they did with him and how they got around and all this and everything else and stuff on the show, man, is just so fun, so good. I love Dragon Zord, but I just love Tiger Zord and Falcon Zord just a little bit more.
Oh, I always loved the White Ranger. That was always my favorite character in Power Rangers, and then I followed Tommy Oliver like a hawk through the series. So
yep. Yeah, that Forever Red appearance was awesome, and then obviously he was the teacher / doctor in Dino Thunder.
Well, and then he came back yet again
for Dimensions in Danger and other things, yeah.
Yep.
All right, who's next on your list?
So I have 4 down. So let's see. I have more characters than what I need.
You can always do
Optimus
horrible.
Prime.
Okay.
I can go digital or like animated. So
I never said you couldn't. I do too. So
yeah. So I have Optimus Prime, but that's but I'm talking like the G1 Prime, not
right. Yeah.
the one where he's not dark and he's not,
Give me your face.
Give me your face, Megatron.
I was not prepared.
Yeah, I love the original run with Peter Cullen and on through. And he's one of those characters that just kind of stands the test of time. He's kind of like your stand-in, like father figure type person in the series. You look up to him. You look up to the voice, just the larger than lifeness of him, and I mean, and his quote's cool. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. And I love the red semi. I've always liked that. I still have a Hot Wheel red semi truck that I keep because when I got into Transformers, I didn't have Optimus Prime, and so that was my stand-in.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I love Optimus as well, even though I give everybody a hard time about him because everybody's like, oh, he's the greatest leader ever. And
I wouldn't go that far, but he's definitely up there.
So I recently, and I don't think you watched this person, but I recently watched one of Lio Convoy Reviews' old videos where, he's talking about Optimus Prime and Rodimus Prime and who's the better leader and yada, yada, yada. He pointed out two very distinct things between the two of them. Under Optimus's watch, they lost Cybertron for 4 million years. Yes, granted, that 4 million years, they were mostly asleep in the Ark, but basically the Decepticons had control of Cybertron. And by the time Rodimus comes in, Rodimus wins Cybertron back and exiles the Decepticons. So it's this whole thing, but I mean, I get it. I understand why people love the character, and I do have sentimentality and love for the character. I just think Rodimus is better. All right.
Inherited everything after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
So it was easier for him, and plus Prime had the moon bases anyway.
No, he got relegated to the moon bases. They had Cybertron, and then the Decepticons took over, and then they got kicked off Cyber. Anyway, it's a whole other discussion for
either way. All the race would have died without Prime. So
next up for me is someone who affected all of our lives, no matter what he was doing. It didn't matter if he was, I don't know, if he was in the classroom, if he was next door, if he was stuck in a 1980s Trans Am.
You wait here. The foreman will come by and drop the evidence in the window in about 2 minutes.
Now I'm a mobile mailbox.
But next up for me is specifically Mr. Feeny from Boy Meets World.
Mr. Matthews, I have no idea what you're talking about. And that's the way, I like it.
You want to talk about a father figure? Or, again, looking up to a teacher, having a father figure there. And obviously Corey had his dad and everything in Boy Meets World, but Mr. Feeny was always so good. And William Daniels as Mr. Feeny, I absolutely love that. I love the lessons. And there isn't an episode of Boy Meets World that goes by that I don't find something that I remember learning because of that character.
Yeah, I always loved Feeny in Boy Meets World.
Yeah. Who you got next, sir?
Well, I got Captain Picard. Star Trek. I've been watching a lot of that. I don't care for him in his own title series of Star Trek Picard.
Right.
But I like him in The Next Generation just because, yeah, he took the diplomatic approach, and he generally, if he thought an idea was stupid from command, he just did what he wanted anyway. But he also, if push came to shove, had no problem throwing someone down. Plus, you got the team up of Captain Kirk and Picard in the same movie.
Generations, yeah.
So that was epic to me, even though they killed my favorite of the two.
I was gallivanting around the galaxy when your grandfather was still in diapers.
Yeah, they stole that from Relics with Scotty.
Next up for me is Nightwing, Dick Grayson Nightwing. This is specifically from the New 52 run.
Now, I love s'mores as much as the next guy, but I'm fresh out of marshmallows. What do you say we call it a night?
Of the comics with Kyle Higgins writing him, but it is also Nightwing, Robin in the DCAU as well. But specific to the comics, I just love you can clearly tell anytime Kyle Higgins is writing something on a licensed property that he loves the character, that he loves the content, and just everything that he did with Nightwing for the 50-something issues, 40-something issues that he got. I forget off the top of my head how many issues Nightwing, New 52 Nightwing had. But anyway, I love the character. Nightwing is always that character. Okay, yes, not a lot of people are orphan circus brats. I understand that, but I often say Nightwing is the character we want to be versus Batman is the legend we need to live up to kind of thing. And someone pointed that out to me the other day as, oh, well, not everybody's has their parents murdered and lives in the circus. And I'm like, that's true, but he's the everyman character. He's not rich. He still has to struggle. He has Bruce there as Batman and whatever else, but he goes through his own struggles and he goes through his own growing pains, and it's just so much fun. I highly suggest, if people have not read the New 52 Nightwing run that Kyle Higgins did, please read it. It had 30 issues now that I remember. Issue 29 it brings it all back to where Nightwing began, and just absolutely amazing and awesome. Who's next for you, sir?
Well, my next one would be Captain Kirk, who I looked up to immensely as a child, to the point that I had Halloween costumes. I like to put on that persona when I had to speak in front of people in school, because I absolutely hate being in front of groups. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was difficult, as a kid. And so I always looked up to his character because he just kind of was like,
I'm losing the Enterprise. Ship is sailing on and on. I'm alone. Alone. I'm losing command. Captain, I've lost command. I've lost the Enterprise.
Yeah, I just don't care. I'm going to do it this way, cowboy diplomacy and whatnot. So I always enjoyed watching the character, especially in the films, just because I thought he was so much better in the films. But even with that said, I had that as one of my favorites of all time. And plus, Shatner's still around.
Well,
with no signs of slowing down.
You should not say, okay, yes, I agree. He is that way, but every time you say stuff like that, the next day the news headlines read some sort of, stop predicting stuff, dude.
I'm not predicting it.
I know you're not.
I said he's got no sign of stopping.
No, but you're going to jinx it.
No, I don't want to jinx it. He's awesome.
Yes, he is, very much so. The next character for me is someone who sadly only got 5 seasons of a television show, but in those 5 seasons, his character, at least to me, had such dynamic range, and he didn't always push forward. He always kind of got pulled back into old habits, but It's Nash Bridges, played by Don Johnson. Now, I know a lot of people out there are like, who? What? This was in the time when CBS was doing, like, Action Friday night. It was Walker, Texas Ranger, Nash Bridges, and Martial Law. Martial Law starring Sammo Hung. If I have to say who's starring in Walker, Texas Ranger, you people are living under a rock. But Don Johnson, Nash Bridges, what I like about him is he is a veteran cop that has so many scars, but you just constantly root for the guy because you want to see him succeed.
Uh-huh. Now turn around.
Nash Bridges.
Jake? What happened to your hair, man?
I shaved it off, Dominguez. What happened to yours?
I missed a couple payments. You working?
What else? Who are you guys?
We're with the gas company. Cops.
He's a cop?
Oh, you failed to identify yourself, huh?
I was busy.
I bet.
I want him arrested for assault and battery and breaking and entering.
Well, let's just talk about you first. What do you say, Daryl?
You know, attempting suicide's a crime.
Now, you see, Daryl, if we arrest you, we're obligated to search this place. And with you being on probation and all, and if we happen to run across, say, some controlled substances...
What if I, didn't press charges?
Well, that would be a start.
What do you want?
Now, do you see how easy that was? We're looking for a guy that's making some wonky steroids.
You know, like the kind you sold to Bart Mackey?
Hey, this is my gig.
Back off, Bubba. I'm in no mood.
And they constantly threw things at him that he just eventually overcame. And I really dig that type of character in television. Who's next for you, sir?
Next for me, getting down to that nitty gritty now. I got 7 down. Optimus Primal.
Silverbolt, do it! If she's headed where I think she's headed.
Because as a kid, I don't know. I just loved the humor of the guy. He felt very much like that another father figure character. Whereas like Prime, now that I think about it, he's more of like the grandpa type figure, the grandfather, like old and wise and ready to tell you what you need to do. And, you know, and then Primal's like, well, that's just Prime, you know, let's just go do it our way, you know, and kind of went from there. And so I don't know. I think that 1, the voice acting is superb for it. 2, his transformations throughout the series just made me like him all the more. You know, the fact that, you know, even though Prime dies and comes back, you know, he has a similar situation. So
yeah, it was interesting how they handled that in Beast Wars. Yeah, I love Optimus Primal. I've always loved Optimus Primal. Watching season 1 again recently, and I'm like, I like his alt mode. I like his robot mode more than his alt mode in the first season. But once he gets to like Surf Ape and then Optimal Optimus, I'm like, ooh, this is really cool kind of thing. But you're right, he is always that wise leader kind of thing. Whereas in the current Transformers Beast Wars IDW comic, he's that young green kind of leader. So it's another way to see Optimus Primal, Gary Chalk style.
Yep.
Next up for me is, I've said this before, and I will say this until it actually happens. If Funko ever releases a Funko Pop of this character, people better look out, because I will be a bull in a china shop to get this. I had one of the original dolls from the 80s of this character, and one of the talking dolls. It was a tape recorder, I think, if I remember correctly. But ran from 86 to 90, one of the best 80s comedies ever. It is that alien life form, Alf himself, Gordon Shumway.
Oh, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Well, if it's not too much trouble, how about fixing my spaceship?
I love Alf.
Hello, read my lips.
talks. It's heavy, it's hairy, and it talks.
Good. Now, how about fixing my spaceship so I can get my heavy, hairy body out of here?
Alf was so fun. Alf was always getting into trouble. And the funny thing is, you'd think that, you think that television, and it generally does, but it rubs off on us and it gives us impressions. And, I remember back in the 80s, oh my God, Transformers is violent. Don't let your kids watch that or else they're going to go out and... Look, for me, real life and fiction were two very separate things. Anything on my television, I knew that was fiction, and I knew I couldn't go out and do that. Now, Alf, his one fault, I personally believe, is that he likes to eat cats. That's a little much. But I love what Paul Fusco did with the voice. I love all of the adventures they get into. I love the Alf animated series. Just everything to do with the character was so fun. And so, like, he's another character that has his heart on his chest kind of thing. And it was just so cool seeing this alien interact with the family of the Tanners.
Yeah, I don't remember much of Alf, but...
Yeah, Alf was between the time you were born and the time you were... 4 or 5, I want to say.
Yeah, so, he's not one that really resonates with me.
I think he would. I think if you go back, like right now...
I've tried watching a lot of old stuff. I find that a lot of it just doesn't resonate with me.
I might actually have to sit here after we're done with this and watch some Alf on Tubi. But anyway, who's next for you?
All right, next for me. This is hard because I have 2 left and I have 4 characters.
Yeah.
So I'll mention my honorable mentions, and I'll say like Worf and Commander Riker, but it's more so just because I got to watch them evolve over multiple series. Mm-hmm. Beast Wars Rat Trap. Not Beast Machines Rat Trap. Beast Wars.
I know.
Because, well, he's just awesome for one.
Yo, string butt! Got a pair of belly bombs here with your name right on them. Eat them and wait.
And 2, like, anytime I want to pick me up from an episode with sarcasm and anything funny about it, I put on an episode with Rat Trap, Better Mousetrap.
Yep.
Just anything with Rat Trap because he's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
So and I love Scott McNeil's voice work. So
yeah, I'm gonna say this here and now. I need to say this on All Things Transformers at some point, but you, as the Beast Wars Megatron fan, I know that you are. You owe everything to the Low Road.
Why?
Because
I'm waiting for this punchline here, and I'm not.
Because it is where Megatron has some of his best lines, and also, even though you're not a Beast Machines Rat Trap fan, you also owe everything to the weakest component. Because that episode is where we get the single-handed best Megatron line out of the entire series. And I will put it right here.
So let's cut through the signal noise, shall we?
For your reference, let's cut through the signal noise, shall we? But yes, Beast Wars Rat Trap, absolutely love him. So cool, so fun. And as you said, Scott McNeil. I gotta figure out a way to get that guy on for an interview with us. Alrighty, folks, we've kind of been counting down. So my number 2, and this is going to shock everybody. My number 2 is Hot Rod / Rodimus Prime from the G1 cartoon and the IDW comics because of 2 very specific and different reasons. First of all, in the cartoon, he was the young character, the young boy character kind of thing, where he had leadership thrust upon him and he had to figure it out all by himself. the Matrix was essentially empty after he defeated Unicron kind of thing, and they had to figure it all out.
Autobots, transform and roll out!
I love that about him. I love what he tries to do as a leader. I love how in Five Faces of Darkness, Magnus is like, don't you want to make some sort of speech? And he's like, forget it. Let's do it. Let's go on with the games. And it's just that character of, show me what I need to do and I'll get it done kind of thing. And I just absolutely love him.
Why'd I have to be the chosen one?
Oh, we're in our last one.
Yes, this is number 1, folks.
Beast Force Megatron, hands down. All right, bye.
No, you fools!
Wait a minute.
I love the portrayal.
Yes.
I love the designs, the multiple bodies that he gets, the fact that he got the farthest out of any bad guy leader, and the fact that he wiped out the entire Cybertronian populace to achieve his megalomania, and the only one that stood between him and his ultimate goal was Optimus Primal and the Oracle.
Yep.
And legitimately, he accomplished more than any other leader in any other Transformers series, because he fell off the Autobot shuttle because instead of, caging him inside.
I still don't understand that.
They're like, we don't want to look at him. They tape him to the outside.
I don't understand that. I still don't understand that choice.
So Beast Machines is all the Maximal's fault because they didn't have follow through on, preventative maintenance. So
Megatron won. Yes.
Yes, for your list. For my list, and I kind of debated this, whether I was going to do that. Originally, Hot Rod was going to be my number 1, but you want to talk about a mission, a mission statement. No, you don't. What?
I don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know me.
You don't know me, man. Don't sit there and try to say. You want to talk about a mission statement. You want to talk about a belief system. You want to talk about something that anyone can get behind. It is the one line that Wilton left Michael, and that is, one man can make a difference. You want to talk about the one character on television as a kid that I looked up to all of the time? David Hasselhoff as Michael Knight in Knight Rider. Because by the time I was old enough to understand the TV stuff, the fictional stuff, the whatever stuff, Knight Rider ran from 82 to 86. So by the time 85, 86 rolled around, I was not only seeing new episodes from whatever seasons those were, I was also seeing the reruns from the previous seasons, because obviously I wasn't old enough in 82. I was only 2 years old at the time, but just everything Michael Knight believes in as a character, everything that he wants to stand up for the little person kind of thing, I always strived for that as a kid, and I know I've become senile old fool and crotchety and everything else in my lifetime, but it's just one of those things where I can still look at that one line, one man can make a difference. And that's honestly what I hope we do with a lot of the shows that we do here on the Geekcast Radio Network, whether it's this new stuff with Studio 2009, whether it's old stuff with whatever show that it is. I'm hoping that even though we're having fun doing the discussions, that people are having fun listening to the discussions. And Michael Knight even had, I think it was Michael, or was it Kit? I forget.
You're never too old for video games.
He had a line about video games in one of the episodes. I don't know. I'll throw it in here somewhere. I just thought that was hilarious. So for me, as a kid and as an adult, Michael Knight was one of the coolest characters and one of the ones that is easily my favorite. And there are so many other favorites that I have. we kind of limited this list to 10 characters because we'd be here for 2 hours if it was anything longer than that. If it was 20 characters or whatever kind of thing. And this could change at any minute. I mean, Alf, Nash Bridges, that kind of stuff, Axel Foley, all of that might change, but between Michael Knight, Rodimus Prime, and Mr. Feeny, like those three are always going to be somewhere close to the top of any top favorite character list I do. So to the audience, we pose the question, you can let us know and listen or whatever. Who are your favorite fictional characters? There are actually a ton of favorite fictional characters I have. Like I said, seriously, I could do my own personal top 100 favorite fictional characters. Not that I'm going to, but I could. So yes, after you guys and gals and all you other people listen to this podcast, please let us know who are some of your favorite fictional characters and why. What else would you like to say before we get the heck out of here, sir?
That's it.
That's it?
That's it. Yes.
All right. Thank you for joining us here inside the studio. If you'd like to get in contact with us or leave feedback for the show, there are several ways to do so. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can listen to and comment on all of our other content, as well as this episode. Send an email to feedback@geekcastradio.com. Here are all the ways you can listen to us nowadays. Apple and Google Podcasts. Leave us reviews, please. Spotify and any other podcatching client you choose to use. Follow us on Twitter. I am at TFG1Mike. You can also follow at Geekcast Radio and at ITS Studio 2009. What is your Twitter?
CP21.
I'm found on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Geekcast Radio Network, and you can also search out Studio 2009 Podcast over there as well. Join us next time when Steve and I will be talking about Video Games We Love Part 2. Featuring a very special guest, where we will be talking about the Nintendo 64, Sega Saturn, and the PlayStation. For now, I am TFG1Mike with
Steve.
You'll hear us back in the studio soon. You want to talk about...
He's got Inspector Gadget coming.
Uh-huh. Right. You heard that, did you? God, thank God I'm editing this.
Excellent. Yes.